The Las Vegas Raiders are one of those teams that we have outlined multiple times at this point that they don't need a whole lot of needs. In fact, I would say, if you just take a serious look at this team, corner, defensive tackle, but wide receiver is a big need. I think if they can add another wide receiver, that will really help out this offense. In a position where they were one score away from tying the game and going to overtime with the eventual AFC Super Bowl participants in the Cincinnati Bengals. So I think there needs to be a serious emphasis on two positions. Now, we got this in the comments section that really raised an interesting point. Now, should the Las Vegas Raiders draft a wide receiver or defensive tackle right away? In other words, which one do we think could make the biggest impact right away? It's a good question because we've seen it with one player all of a sudden making a difference. Look at the Cincinnati Bengals. Again, they drafted a wide receiver last year in Ja'Marr Chase, and he was the offensive rookie of the year. Because he's amazing. He's a really good wide receiver, and we saw what one player can do to make a difference for an offense. But at the same time, they did a lot of things defensively that put them in a better position. Obviously, getting some key pieces on that defensive line together. Also, guys like letting Trey Hendrickson or getting guys like Trey Hendrickson, they did a lot of good things on that defensive line. And I was really a big fan of what they did. So the question now becomes, especially with the Raiders ushering in a new coaching staff and a new kind of look for the franchise, what is a better option at this point, wide receiver or defensive tackle? Just taking a blind dart throw at this, I would say a wide receiver is the best way to go here because now, don't get me wrong, if Jordan Davis falls to you at 22, run that card up to the table. Run it up. Don't care. Because there's a lot of talent in wide receivers in this class. Velus Jones Jr. really, I think, made a name for himself. He's going to be a really good day 2, possibly day 3 pick. Just every wide receiver pretty much ran a 4.4 the other day. So everybody's got speed. Now, I think the tough part is evaluating all these guys. But the point still remains. I think if you can find a way to somehow, and if Treylon Burks or Drake London or one of those boys gets down to you at 22, man, that's the dream scenario. That really is, because we have seen what the Raiders were doing with Henry Ruggs. Again, I know prayers for everyone involved in that situation. I know it's a tough subject, but for this, all intents and purposes, we just got to bring it up for this one subject, because at the end of the day, when he was on the field, that offense was different. They were running the football. They had so many different weapons that it became a question of who you were going to guard. And I think at this point, as the Raiders move forward, they need to put as many tools on the football field. We saw with the Bengals last year. They had just so many weapons. It became a question of who the opposing team was going to guard. And I think now that they are in a position to, put themselves in a spot where they could be winning the division for the next foreseeable future. I think there's a lot of questions with the Chiefs right now. Obviously, they're still a really good team, but I think the Chiefs can get got. The Chargers, they beat the Chargers to make the playoffs, so there's another team that could be interesting. But they're a very good team in their own right. And then the Broncos, really, who knows what the Broncos are right now? They need to get a quarterback before we have that discussion. But overall, if the Raiders want to take over the division, if they want to make a splash right away, I think it starts with wide receiver. Again, if this team can put up 28 points a game with this defense let's basically say they sign basically like guys like Darius Philon, Rankins, all those boys back, Solomon Thomas. Okay, it was a medium of the pack, maybe a little bit worse than that defensive line, but at the same time, last time I checked, the Raiders have they're going to be in a good position to be able to get some good defensive tackle talent. I mean, there's a lot of guys like Travis Jones, Perrion Winfrey's a guy I think you could get in the second round, and I would not have a problem with that at all. And there's just honestly a lot of defensive tackles in the second, and third, and fourth rounds that I think could really make a huge impact for the Raiders. So you get your number one wide receiver in the first round, whether that be, Chris Olave, Burks, Drake London, any of those players, I don't care. But at the end of the day, or even a guy like Sky Moore, you could really go either way with this. I think really what it comes down to is I think the Raiders are in a great position to not only put their franchise in the best position possible, but look at their options, look at what they could possibly bring in terms of getting two positions of need at two very good spots and potentially fill those for many years to come. Like I said, Jordan Davis, if he falls, Devontae Wyatt, I think he's a stud as well. There's a lot of other defensive tackles that I think you could get that can make a lot of difference for this team in just 1 year. And like we said, even with just a middle of the pack to below average defensive line, this team, it was different, especially towards the end of the season. Like, they were playing like a top unit. Look at the stats. We outlined it. Go check out our video about how that Raiders defense was balling. So I feel like if they can kind of put a lot of their best foot forward in this draft and free agency period, watch out for the Raiders, because they could all of a sudden take over the AFC West and really the AFC if they really want to. Now, again, they're going to have top teams in there like the Titans. Obviously, the Bengals are going to be tough moving forward if they get some. They were tough this last year, even so. I'm really excited to see what this kind of goes down to and what it comes down to for the Raiders, because I think if they can get the right players moving forward, this could be a really special team. But to answer the question of should the Raiders draft a wide receiver or a defensive tackle right away, or what would leave the biggest impact for this team right away, I think it's wide receiver. This is a really good wide receiver class. Again, even if they had just the middle of the pack, their same defensive line back, and you add another weapon that can stretch the field. Deshaun Jackson was okay, but overall, I feel like if you can add one more wide receiver, things will get dangerous on the offensive side of the football for the Raiders. But let us know what you guys think. Make sure you guys like and subscribe down below. Leave a like and a comment. It helps people find the show. We greatly appreciate all the support that we've gotten already, and we love every single one of you. Thank you guys so much. Also, in the description, you'll find all of our social media platforms, so give us a like and a follow there. Also, remember to give us a listen and sub on iTunes. And finally, if you have anything else you'd like us to cover, send us an email at thesportsbp@yahoo.com or put in the comment section down below. And as you see, we would love to cover it. But let us know what you guys think overall about if the Las Vegas Raiders should draft a wide receiver or a defensive tackle right away.